Imagine it is the late 1960s, and you are young again, standing beside a serious Mercedes sedan outside a hotel, a bank, or a quiet German street. Nothing about it shouts. The chrome is polite, the doors feel heavy, the cabin smells of leather and wood, and the star on the grille says success without begging for attention. But then the bonnet opens, and everything changes. Hidden inside this calm, formal body is the mighty V8 from the Mercedes 600. This is the 300 SEL 6.3. The sedan that looked respectable, but moved like it had something to prove. Now, before we talk about speed, I want you to feel what Mercedes meant in the late 1960s. These sedans were not built to impress boys at traffic lights. They were built for men who had already arrived. Directors, diplomats, doctors, industrialists. People who wanted silence, weight, and authority. Look at this thing in its original world. Chrome straight, doors heavy, cabin formal. No shouting. Why this matters is simple. Mercedes had a reputation for seriousness first, performance second. So when the 6.3 appeared, the shock was not just power. The shock was that respect itself had suddenly learned how to run on wide roads after dark with calm confidence. Look at the W109 body first, and forget the engine for a moment. I want you to see why nobody expected violence from this shape. The nose is upright, the grille is formal, the glasshouse is elegant, and the whole car stands like an executive office on wheels. Nothing about it begs for attention. Why this matters is that the 300 SEL 6.3 used this dignified shell as camouflage. Mercedes listed it as W109E63, produced from December 1967 to September 1972. But visually it still belonged to the same serious luxury family. That is what made the car dangerous. It looked quietly too important to be fast. Here is where the story becomes almost unbelievable. I want you to imagine one Mercedes engineer looking at this calm W109 sedan and thinking, what if the engine from the mighty Mercedes 600 limousine lived under this bonnet? That idea became 300 SEL 6.3. Why this matters is that Mercedes did not create a loud sports sedan with spoilers and drama. They created a hidden contradiction. Erich Waxenberger's prototype story, later supported by Rudolf Uhlenhaut, gave Mercedes a new kind of car, a luxury sedan with limousine manners and sports car pace. From that moment, the modern German super sedan had a spiritual beginning inside Mercedes history forever for generations. Now, look at Erich Waxenberger for a moment, because this is where the 6.3 stops being normal Mercedes planning and becomes real passion. I think every true Mercedes lover understands this logic. Sometimes the best cars are born when one engineer refuses to accept that luxury must be slow. Waxenberger worked under Rudolf Uhlenhaut, and the story says he pushed the idea before it was officially safe. Take the serious W109 sedan and give it the heart of the 600. Why this matters is simple. If we compare it with a normal boardroom decision, it sounds risky. But from an engineer's eye, it was obvious. The chassis had dignity, the engine had authority, and together they created a new kind of Mercedes. Here I want you to understand the Mercedes 600 engine like a symbol, not just a number. The M100 was built for the giant 600 limousine, a car made for heads of state, industrial power, and people who expected the road to move around them. Now imagine placing that same 6,332cc V8 into a smaller 300-cell body. Why this matters is packaging and personality. A normal luxury sedan engine gives comfort. This engine gave command. If we compare it with a 6-cylinder W109, the difference is not only speed, it is the feeling that the car no longer asks for momentum. It creates momentum. That is why the 6.3 feels like Mercedes engineering escaped its polite clothing. Look closely when the bonnet opens, because that is the exact moment the car stops pretending. From outside, I see a formal sedan, chrome grille, upright lights, long doors, and a body that belongs outside a bank or government building. But under the bonnet, the M100 fills the space with serious intent. Why this matters is contrast. A sports car shows its danger before it moves. The 6.3 hides it until someone knows where to look. The engine bay tells you Mercedes did not build a decorative performance car. They built a technical solution, big V8, mechanical injection, cooling needs, automatic drive strength, and enough structure around it to make the whole thing feel controlled instead of crude. Now focus on the M100 V8 itself. This engine was not designed to scream like an Italian exotic. It was built to move weight with authority. Official Mercedes data lists the 6.3 with 250 HP at 4,000 RPM and 51 mkg of torque at 2,800 RPM, which tells us the character immediately. Why this matters is torque timing. The force arrives low where a luxury sedan actually lives, pulling away, overtaking, climbing speed on the Autobahn. If we compare it with a high-revving sports engine, the M100 feels less dramatic, but more powerful in the real Mercedes way. Here is the part I would explain to any real Mercedes person. Mechanical fuel injection made the power feel controlled, not wild. The official archive lists mechanically controlled manifold injection with a Bosch 8-plunger injection pump. Why this matters is precision for its era. Instead of old carburetors guessing fuel through airflow and adjustment, this system delivered fuel with far more discipline, cylinder by cylinder, matching the serious character of the car. I think that is why the 6.3 never feels like a rough engine swap. It feels engineered. If we compare it with an American muscle car of the same period, the Mercedes answer was different. Not loud theatre, but measured fuel, smooth torque, and expensive control. Start with the torque, because this is where the 6.3 feels expensive before it even feels fast. I would show a simple torque graph here. Power rises with revs, but torque is the force that pushes the car immediately. The M100 made its strength low, around 2,800 RPM, so the driver did not need to force the engine or wait for drama. That is why this car felt rich. A cheaper fast car often asks for noise, revs, and effort. The 6.3 simply moves. In physics terms, torque is rotational force. Through the gearbox and rear axle, that force becomes acceleration. This is why the 6.3 feels like authority, not excitement. Mercedes listed 51 mkg of torque and 250 HP for the M100. Here is the part that proves this was not just a comfortable old Mercedes. In its own time, this sedan could genuinely embarrass sports cars, because the numbers were not normal for a formal four-door car. Autozine calls it one of the first real Q cars, meaning a wolf in sheep's clothing, and says it could stun Porsche 911 drivers with about 60 mph in 7 seconds and 135 mph flat out. Compare that with the regular 300 SEL, which Autozine lists at around 11 seconds to 60 mph and no more than 120 mph. That difference is huge. The same body language, but a completely different animal underneath. Picture the cabin now. Wood, leather, upright seats, formal dashboard. The kind of atmosphere where you expect a company director in the back seat, not a speed contest. Then place that same car on an open Autobahn and remember the official number, 220 km/h. This is why the 6.3 feels almost unreal. That means the car was not light. It was overcoming mass with torque, gearing, and engine displacement. If I show the speedometer needle climbing here, The viewer understands the contradiction immediately. This is not a sports cockpit, but it is moving like one. Now notice the gearbox, because this tells us exactly who Mercedes built this car for. The 6.3 came with a 4-speed automatic transmission as standard, with a central floor selector, planetary gear system, and a 2.85 final drive ratio. That was not a lazy decision. It matched the car's character. A manual gearbox turns speed into performance theatre, and automatic turns it into authority. In a car like this, the owner does not want to fight the machine. He presses the throttle, and the car gathers speed with no argument. Autozine also notes that the Mercedes-built automatic made the car easy to drive and responsive, which is exactly the point: power without effort. Mercedes listed air spring bellows, supplementary rubber suspension, torsion bar stabilizers, and telescopic shock absorbers. That means the car was not just carrying weight, it was managing weight. The physics is simple. A big V8 adds mass over the front, and high speed adds vertical movement, body roll, and load transfer. Air suspension helps maintain composure and ride height, so the sedan still feels like a luxury Mercedes instead of a rough muscle car. Do not treat the chassis as background. It is the reason the 6.3 worked. 1,780 kg curb weight, recirculating ball power steering, 4-wheel disc brakes, and rear-wheel drive. That is a lot of mass and speed to control. If you compare it with a small sports car, the sports car wins by being light. The 6.3 wins differently. Long wheelbase for stability, serious brakes for confidence, air suspension for control, and a strong sedan structure to keep everything calm. This is why I would say the engine made the 6.3 famous, but the chassis made it believable. Come closer to the front wheel, because this is where speed becomes responsibility. Only because it could run hard, I respect it, because Mercedes gave it the hardware to come back down from that speed. We are talking about hydraulic dual-circuit braking, with vacuum assistance and disc brakes on all 4 wheels. A heavy sedan is carrying serious energy, and physics does not care about luxury badges. Double the speed, and braking energy rises dramatically. That is why this matters. A small sports car can use lightness. This Mercedes had to use engineering, stronger control, better heat handling, and braking confidence that made Autobahn speed feel believable, not reckless. Stand by the driver's side and turn the wheel slowly in your mind. This car is not light, and it is not pretending to be light. Mercedes listed recirculating ball steering with hydraulic power assistance, and that choice explains the whole personality. A sharp sports car tries to feel nervous, direct, and immediate. The 6.3 had another job. It had to guide a 5-meter sedan with a huge V8 over long roads without making the owner fight the machine. The steering does not make the car feel small, it makes the weight feel manageable. That is real luxury engineering. When I analyze it, I see controlled effort, enough assistance for comfort, enough Mercedes heaviness to remind you this car is serious. From a few steps away, this car still looks like a formal W109 sedan. And that is the clever part. Do not search for loud spoilers or aggressive drama. Search for the quiet signs, the 6.3 badge, the stronger stance, the serious front end, the special lighting details, and the feeling that this ordinary-looking executive car is carrying more authority than usual. Mercedes people notice these things because old Mercedes performance was not always shouted. It was whispered through proportion and detail. That is why the 6.3 is more interesting than a car that screams from a poster. The body says board meeting, but the mechanical truth underneath says Autobahn pressure, hidden force, and sports car embarrassment. Open the door and I want you to forget modern sport buttons for a second. The cabin of the 300 SEL 6.3 does not try to excite you like a racing cockpit. It reassures you like an expensive office. Period information and surviving examples show power windows, pneumatic central locking, a rev counter, wood trim, quality upholstery, serious Mercedes switchgear, and available leather. That is the exact contradiction. You are sitting in a car that can reach 220 km/h, but around you there is calm wood, formal seating, and the quiet feeling of control. A sports car tells the driver to perform. This Mercedes tells the driver to arrive. That difference is why I call it the first silent super sedan. Now think about the buyer standing here in 1969. He is not looking for a Ferrari shape or a loud American muscle car. He wants to move quickly without looking like he is trying too hard. That is why the 6.3 makes sense. It gives him the M100 V8, automatic transmission, air suspension, power steering, luxury equipment, and a proper Mercedes body, all in one package. He can leave a hotel quietly, pass traffic violently, and still appear completely respectable at the next meeting. This was power for people who understood restraint. If we compare it with a normal performance car, the 6.3 is more private. It does not ask strangers to notice. It lets the driver know first. Take a long side view of the car, and you can understand its social language. This is status without theatre. The chrome is formal, the roofline is dignified, the badge is small, and the whole body carries itself like old money. That is why this car still feels special. Many fast cars of the period told the world, "Watch me." The 300 SEL 6.3 said something colder, "I do not need your approval." This matters because Mercedes luxury was never only about materials. It was about behavior. The owner could have bought something louder, but he chose a car that kept power under manners. That is the true charm. The car looks calm because the owner wants control, not applause. Now we come to the price, because money proves the position of this car. In 1968, Mercedes listed the 300 SEL 6.3 at 39,160 Deutsche Marks. And by January 1972, it had climbed to 47,397 Deutsche Marks. That was not casual sedan money. That was serious luxury territory, and the buyer was paying for more than displacement. He was paying for the 600-derived engine, automatic transmission, air suspension, disc brakes, power steering, electric comfort, and the social power of the Mercedes star. Today, the market still separates good cars from dangerous cheap ones. Classic.com shows the 300 SEL 6.3 market around $50,000. A neglected 6.3 is not cheap. It is deferred engineering waiting to collect. Now bring your eyes to the reaction, because this is where the 6.3 becomes more than a Mercedes specification. I would show a period road test clipping here, then a simple comparison chart beside it. Motoring people were not shocked because Mercedes built a good luxury car that was expected. They were shocked because this formal sedan had the temperament of something far less polite. A 1968 hobby test, later republished by Zwishingus, described how impressive its driving character felt and questioned only how big the market niche could be. That tells me something important. The car did not feel like normal luxury with extra horsepower. It felt like a new category. The press saw a representative sedan that could suddenly move with sports car seriousness. Shift the scene onto the Autobahn, because that is where this car finally explains itself. In city traffic, the 6.3 can look almost too calm, like a director's car waiting outside an office. But at speed, everything starts to make sense. Long wheelbase, heavy body, air suspension, V8 torque, automatic gearbox, and that serious Mercedes stability. Official Mercedes data gives it 220 km/h top speed and 0-100 km/h in 6.5 seconds, which is the number I would put on screen as the needle rises. This is not a mountain road toy. It is a long-distance pressure machine. The faster the road opens, the more the car feels natural, because Mercedes engineered it for controlled speed. Now compare it with normal luxury cars of its time, and the difference becomes brutal. A typical luxury sedan gives you silence, space, chrome, wood, and comfort. But it usually asks you to accept weight as the price of dignity. The 6.3 refused that bargain. AutoZine notes the regular 300 cell needed around 11 seconds to reach 60 mph, while the 6.3 could do it in about 7 seconds. That is not a small improvement, that is a personality change. If I showed two identical-looking sedans side by side, you understand the trick immediately. One is respectable transport. The other is a hidden express train. Suddenly, normal luxury cars feel like they are only pretending to be powerful. Now take your attention away from the badge and put it on the sports cars around it. A Porsche or Italian coupe looked fast before it moved. The 300 SEL 6.3 looked like it had a board meeting at 9. That is why sports cars had to respect it. Mercedes' official numbers, 250 HP, 100 km/h in 6.5 seconds, and 220 km/h, meant this heavy sedan could enter performance territory without changing its manners. The physics is beautiful here. Displacement and torque overcome weight, while the long chassis keeps the car settled. A sports car wins by being light and emotional. The 6.3 wins differently. It arrives quietly, accelerates hard, and stays in the mirror. This is the moment you should cut from the road car to the red race machine, because AMG's legend does not begin with a modern badge on a showroom grille. It begins with a heavy Mercedes sedan doing something it was never supposed to do. AMG enlarged and transformed the 300 cell idea into the 300 cell 6.8, later remembered as the Red Pig. In 1971, at the Spa 24 Hours, Mercedes-AMG says it won its class and finished second overall, shocking lighter race cars and spreading AMG's name worldwide. That is the key point. The 6.3 gave AMG the perfect contradiction, a luxury sedan body with enough mechanical depth to become a racing weapon. Now step back and place the 6.3 in the Mercedes family tree, because this is where its legacy becomes clear. Before the 450 SEL 6.9, before the AM Hammer, before the Porsche-built 500e, Mercedes had already tested the idea. Take a serious sedan, hide huge performance inside it, and keep the outside disciplined. The 6.3 created the emotional blueprint. It proved that a Mercedes sedan could be rich, quiet, formal, and still frighteningly quick. Premier Financial Services calls it a super sedan with muscle car acceleration and road manners in a stealthy package. That is exactly the point I would make on screen. Later cars became more famous, but the 6.3 taught Mercedes the formula first. Now talk about today's market with honesty, because this car can punish romantic buyers. On a price chart, the 6.3 does not move like an ordinary old sedan. Classic.com shows a market benchmark around $50,649, but recent results range from a $10,250 project sale to stronger examples around $74,750, $91,777, and listings above $100,000. That spread tells the whole story. Cheap can mean expensive later. Focus the camera on the air suspension, M100 engine, trim, rust areas, and mechanical injection, because each one can turn a bargain into a restoration bill. A good 6.3 is not just bought, it is proven through condition, originality, documentation, and mechanical health. For the ending, hold the camera on the car in silence for a second, because the final point should feel bigger than horsepower. The 300 SEL 6.3 invented the silent super sedan because it combined contradictions that still define performance luxury today: executive body, huge engine, automatic ease, serious chassis, hidden speed, and social restraint. Mercedes built 6,526 units from 1967 to 1972, and the official figures still explain why people remember it: 6,332 cc, 250 HP, 220 kmh, and 0-100 kmh in 6.5 seconds. But numbers are not the whole soul. The soul is this: it made speed feel respectable. It gave power manners. Every great fast sedan after it lives in its shadow.